going to be any different than any other day. I know Megan said things are in transition and we're going to make 2020 our year, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? So thank you for being here. I know for me personally, Creative Mornings means a lot. It means a lot to all of our guests. Is not everybody going to come up? The rest of our guests our speakers are going to come up. And we're going to hear just a little bit more about what it means to them, to these people here. And our theme this month is roots. Each month we pick a different theme. This one is roots. So if you think, okay, what's the most obvious possible thing they could talk about related to roots? Oh, the roots of this community and how Creative Mornings got started in Orange County, obviously, right? So why don't you just kind of quickly introduce yourselves. We already heard from Megan, we get it. Who you are, what you do. Quickly.
Oh my God, so much pressure.
I know.
Van, I have a tech gaming company.
Sweet, what's up? I'm Ivan, I'm the photographer.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so before we really get started, I want you to take a second and think, okay, cool, I've been coming to these, or this is my first one. I want you to take a second, talk to the person around you, introduce yourself, one, say, hi, I'm whoever, and what does working in Orange County mean, or how does it inspire your work? I want us to get to know each other a little bit better, so take a minute. I'm gonna give you 1 minute to just introduce yourself and talk about what does Orange County mean to you as a creative? Go. Okay, we're talking about roots, and we're gonna hear a little bit about, like I said, how we got our start and where we're going, okay? So we're gonna start here with Van. Van has been with us for about a little over a year. And I know you have kind of a weird way that you kind of came here, right? How did you get your start?
Yeah. So Megan and I I'm part of the Orange County community as a whole, right? And so that's how Megan and I met, being part of this community, being part of Orange County. And where we kind of like deepened our kind of connection is we had a conversation about like, we really believe in communities and the community, like in Orange County, but honestly, it's a little bit siloed. And so as much as we're, all like one big community, we're kind of segregated communities. And
well, speaking of silos, you had like a way that you used to introduce yourself, right?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of surprised you're actually up here because...
You guys let me. That's what happens.
No, but you had a way that you would introduce yourself, right?
Yeah, so when I used to start coming to Creative Mornings, I would be, hi, I'm Van, I'm not creative. And that would just come so naturally because I honestly felt like I didn't belong because I professionally am not, I don't have a creative profession. And so first thing that come out to my mind was just, hi Van, I'm not creative. And it would be so, it was a little bit disheartening because I was just limiting myself and that would just be what I would say. Yeah. But I think being part of this community and just kind of immersing myself more, I kind of learned to kind of put the absence of that limitation and stop saying that.
So you're saying that you, over time, kind of grew to realize that, one, there was something wrong with your attitude, but then that there was something that the community offered.
Yeah, and I think
cool.
And honestly, I think it was Megan constantly, just like she just said right now about drink and draw. You don't have to be creative. I draw stick figures, come, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what it's about. And so just being able to accept that and just get to know everyone.
Yeah. And I know you have a lot of experience kind of in a different number of things, right? You've been everywhere, done a lot of things, and now you're leaving the group.
Yeah.
You're unscrewing that. We won't be able to hear you in a second. You okay? We can take a deep breath.
Yeah, good.
Everybody, close your eyes for a second. Don't look at her.
Don't look.
You're leaving us after so much time.
Yeah.
Because what? Because you hate us so much that you can't stand to be up here any longer.
Yeah, I know it's fitting, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We're starting the new decade, and I am going.
I'm out of here.
No, it actually, so I pick a word every year. It's kind of like saying what Creative Morning does with their themes. And so my word this year is move. And so move for me.
For the whole year?
For the whole year, it's
Okay.
move. And for me, move is not necessarily moving on, but I'm really doubling down on my startup right now, and so it's really important for me to, it's gonna be a tough year. So it's just important for me to progress forward.
Does that word help, like, kind of ground you going forward when you kind of get, like, things get a little rocky? You're like, okay, wait, no. There's a reason that I'm doing this.
Yeah, I think, that's why I picked the word move, and yeah, it does help ground me. But then I think part of just being part of this group and the theme for this month, which is roots, is that it's kind of fitting move and roots kind of go together for me right now, is because for me, it's going to be a tough year. I already know it. But the roots, to me, it's about everything that I've learned thus far, the community, people that are around me, the good and the bad. And that's really just helping me be strong so I could move forward and progress and help my company succeed.
That's the thing, when I think of a tree, I think of a lot of movement. Oftentimes I was kidding, they don't uproot and leave. So how dare you leave? You can't leave. That's antithetical to the topic today. How do you have roots but you're moving?
But the roots are coming with me, so you guys are technically coming with me to help
that's a
me
good little
grow.
spin. I like
exactly,
that. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So for me, it's not that the doors are closing and I'm gone. I'm still in Orange County, but it's helping me to learn to really take what I have and what I know and all of you guys and do something more, challenge myself, and so that's kind of what it means. That's what I'm trying to do.
That's really awesome. Can you just briefly kind of tell me about your the startup that you're doing? What's the plan?
Take it a day at a time.
No, but I mean, what's the business that you're trying to create?
Yeah. So we're building a mobile game for professionals, so like basically everybody, to simply know yourself, know the market as it's constantly changing, and make informed decisions through data-focused games. And so I think for me, I think it's really important we are all unique in our own self. So there's a lot of diversity, and we talk about diversity in the workplace is super important. We know that financially helping companies make money. And
Diversity.
yeah,
Thank you.
diversity is important. And I think it starts with knowing that diversity in yourself. So we're all kind of uniquely different based on our collection of, with our interests, attitudes, aptitudes, values. And so it's really helping people understand that through a game.
That's really awesome. I know a lot of times I don't have a word every month, so it would be, or every year. It would be nice to oh, cool, this game told me what I should be doing.
Yeah, you
really
can take
like
mine.
Oh, cool. Yeah, maybe.
I'll share.
Cool. Cool. Well, thank you again for sharing. Why don't you pass your mic? Maybe hot potato that over. Now we're going to hear from Ivan. Ivan, what are you doing here? Who are you? Oh, you said you're a photographer, right?
Yeah.
I heard some claps, a single clap. Wow, thank you.
Ivan's mom is here, guys.
Whoa. Okay, nobody look. Where is she?
With
Taking the
with
video
phone
in the
camera.
front.
With the mom pose with the
Front
camera
row,
up.
too.
That's her.
It's good. Okay, Ivan, you've been a part of this group for how long?
3 years. Going to 3 years now.
Okay, and I think that was the amount of time that Megan said this group has been around.
Bingo.
Yep,
Wow. Okay, so how long have you been working as a photographer?
Yeah, so I picked up photography formally, I guess, in college. I met a friend of mine who was also a photographer, and we used to do a lot of road trips together. And I really liked his work that he was doing. And so just for fun, I got a camera for my birthday, and I learned from my friend. And so the first 2 years, a lot of it was just landscapes, traveling road trips to Zion, Yosemite, and et cetera. And then later on in college, as I guess school got more intense, portraiture was a much easier transition just because of time and commitment. But the thing I love about portrait photography and just photography in general is that it gives me an excuse to talk to people that I naturally wouldn't talk to. It just gives me an additional excuse to be that annoying person to stick a lens in your face and smile.
Creep on them?
Yeah, but professionally. And so
I like that.
yeah, for money. Yeah, and so I really appreciate photography in that aspect because it definitely takes a lot of courage on both ends for somebody to approach, as well as for the person to allow you to capture kind of their most vulnerable moments. Because at the end of the day, we spend the most time looking at ourselves in the miror, and so having to accept
Is that true?
other-
You spend the most time in your day
There
looking
might
in
be
the
a
mirror?
problem
Well, I mean,
there.
okay. Well, let me frame it a different way. But it's I feel as
Let me get my mirror out for you.
oh gosh, that turned awkward. But yeah, so as a photographer, I having the ability and the privilege to capture your perspective of somebody is a very vulnerable state for somebody to be in, because oftentimes what we think looks good on us may not come across that way to other people who view us as we walk by. So I really appreciate photography in that aspect. You know, even in this kind of environment where like I don't know this kid and he's like telling me to smile and stand next to somebody that I don't know because you guys are friends.
You do that.
Yeah, and so it's just like, but that comes with like a certain amount of vulnerability on both aspects. Again, for both people to like accept that, which is why I kind of like gravitate towards photography a lot. But
There's a certain amount of trust that I have to have in you.
Exactly.
That you're not going to make me look ugly. Well, I mean, that's kind of the agreement, right? Like,
I
hey,
think that's genetics.
or don't post it, right?
Yeah,
Please
yeah,
God,
yeah. Uh-huh.
make me look good. So there's something about that you like. You like that engaging somebody in a deeper way.
Yeah.
Inviting them to be more open. Is that what it is?
Yeah, in a way, even though it's like sometimes it may feel, I guess, forced since I'll approach somebody.
Yeah.
But to some degree, it's like the acceptance of that and like being willing to be that awkward air in between you as a photographer is like something that's like very precious to me, I guess. Because like that moment can be interrupted by like somebody walking by or anything, and so like that like brief half second where I click the button is like definitely like a moment to appreciate for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. You get to see humanity in a different way with your camera.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I guess I don't understand. Thank you for being here. But how did you get here? Like just because I want to capture people and I want to get in their face. I don't know if I want you here. Oh. What are you doing here?
What am I doing here?
You know, like,
okay.
How did you said you've been here since the beginning.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I guess I do have a relatively long history with Creative Mornings, ironically with the theme called Roots. So my first experience with Creative Mornings was back when I was still in high school. I believe I was like a freshman or a sophomore, and my sister was attending UCI here. And I went to one Creative Mornings event in LA when I was in high school. I don't know how I made it out there. But yeah, and so it was really cool.
Yeah, you probably walked.
Well, like I had school, I think. I don't remember like how I got back or if I didn't go to school or not.
It's a pretty dangerous crowd, so well, especially in LA.
Urban
too.
hikes.
Yeah, and so like that was like my first exposure, and like my sister, she like studied creative journalism here at UCI, and like one of her big things was like there was always kind of like a lack of a creative community here in Orange County. It was kind of like this dead zone between LA and San Diego, and so fortunately like she like moved out to New York, and she's out there now. But she now works for the headquarters at Creative Mornings, and so that's kind of like how I was tied into it. And so my sister told me one day that like, hey, heads up, but like somebody applied for like a Santa Ana chapter.
It was me.
Yeah. For like a Santa Ana chapter, and then like HQ initially was like they don't know anything about Santa Ana, and they're like, look at the population, it's really small, demographics, old white people. They're like, should we have one here? And then my sister was like, no, we really need one, and like, but they should be like Orange County because there's a lot of potential in that gigantic area of a hub, like where we have like 5-6 million people across like 10 different cities. And so eventually got pushed through, and then that's how I ended up meeting Megan and Greg. We met at Portola Coffees up the street from here, and we were like talking about how we were also Riverside locals. I'm ironically not from OC, I'm from Riverside. Yeah. Yeah. Only us. But yeah, and so we definitely got along on that aspect real quick, just because like even though we were both from Riverside, we were very like invested in Orange County in a way. And so like
Something's drawing you.
Yeah, something
here.
like drawing me out here. Because like I mean I had to wake up today like at like 5:15 in the morning to get ready to try and get out here by 7 to beat traffic and all that. So it's not ideal, but I'll make it work. But I think the reason I enjoy this community so much versus others communities, not to say that other communities don't have their value, but I think the one thing that stands out about Orange County or Creative Mornings specifically is the intentionality behind it, because you have to be very intentional to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning to come to an event at 8 for fun. Like, because like other events that happen at night, it's like, it's convenient. You're like, oh, I don't have anything else to do. I can go there to rewind, relax, socialize and anything, but I feel like in the morning we have better things to do, like sleep. So it's like a very intentional thing to like make up in your mind to like want to wake up and be a part of this environment, this community, and like putting your best foot forward. And there comes with a lot of intent with that, and I think as a result, it gravitates toward a certain crowd. And I think that's why I love it so much.
That's a good point. If you're waking up at 5:15, Megan probably just never went to bed to get here at 7.
Takes a long time to do this hair.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing. Megan, you are the new host, but you were already the host. You were a co-host, right? So
Yeah.
not much has changed, right? Ivan is. Ivan kind of gave us his history, but you mentioned that you started this chapter, helped start this chapter. Can you tell me about that? What was going on that you felt the need to start this chapter?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be really honest with you guys. One, I'm so nervous being up here right now. And two, I started this chapter for all of the wrong reasons. So I was running a business at the time, and I was in sales. You know the typical like salesperson. I was like, all right, we got to figure something out because we need to get dollars coming in. And so I discovered this thing in San Diego, and I was like, God, that's like 500 people in one room. If I can close this many of the 500 people,
Wow, that is pretty,
I am solid.
That is the wrong reason.
The wrongest reason ever. So then I went to an event in San Diego, and I came back, and I was like, fuck the sales. There's something more behind this, right? So I went to San Diego, and I went to this event, and it was just really impactful for me. There was so much energy in the event. You know, people were hugging each other, and someone tried to hug me. I was like, I don't know you, dude. Like, hold on. So it was really interesting at first. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa. So I was just really taken aback when I went to this event because there were so many people. Everybody was so friendly. It was like everybody was cracked out on caffeine and sugar. And I was like, whoa, what is happening? And that talk was just fun, and that's when I actually saw the real value and potential in the Creative Mornings and in, coming together once a month in person. We constantly have the ability to, have this instant gratification of meeting people, whether you're swiping on Tinder or Bumble, whatever you want to do, right? Or like whether you're on Instagram or Facebook and you're always, putting out pictures, or some people call it content, like showing your lives, and you're really living through these like social media platforms, and sometimes it's not always like true or like accurate of like how you're feeling or what's actually going on. So I saw the real value of being able to come together with people in real life, I wouldn't have known half of these people in here if it wasn't for this event, and I'm super grateful for that. So I came back after that event. I told my business partner, I was like, yeah, man, sales. But then I called.
Secretly, you're
yeah,
like.
secretly, I was like, yes.
So how do you go from, I had a great experience, to I need to open a chapter near me?
Oh, I'm just that girl.
Got it.
You guys, so I immediately, I drove back, and I remember calling Gregory on my drive back. I had just met Gregory. We met at a lawyer meetup, and I'm pretty brash, so I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but we were the only minorities. It was just a bunch of old white dudes in suits, and it was me and Gregory, and I was like, hi.
Thank God.
A friend. And so I met Greg, and then after that event, I called him, and I was like, hi, I know I just met you, but we have this really good vibe, and I want to start this thing, and I think you're the right person to help me do it. And at the time, I was super young, and Greg is more seasoned.
More gray in his hair.
Love you, Greg. And so I was like, okay, together, right? It's a good balance. We'll be able to kind of do this together from a balance perspective. And he was crazy enough to say yes. He was crazy enough to be like, okay, I don't know what it is, but sure.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, let's do it.
Right. And that was 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
And things have changed and are changing, and it's always evolving, right? Community grows. And maybe can you give us, what are your plans? What's your idea for this year, or maybe for this month, for next, what do you see for this community?
Yeah. So somebody asked me the other day, just for context, right? They're like, what is Creative Mornings? And, typically I'm like, oh, Creative Mornings is a breakfast lecture, blah, blah, blah. What is a breakfast lecture series? I don't know, guys. And nobody else knows apparently either. So when I was talking to this person, I was like, it's perspective. Creative Mornings is different for every single person in this room. You guys all got up and came here for a different reason. And some may be the same and some may not. But for 2020 and for this year, the intention and what I would really like Creative Mornings to be is what you guys need it to be. So whether it's you just moved here and you don't know anybody, whether it's you're running a small business and you need help, or whether it's you're starting a startup and you have no clue what to do and you feel lost and down in the dumps all the time, right? I want this to be the space where you guys can come and you can be like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm trying to do it. because I think you'll be able to see that there's so many other people in this room that are either feeling that or will want to help or will just kind of, it'll help you build that together, right? Like that's how I know TJ, that's how I know Chris. Like there's so many different cool stories and things here, and I want this to be the space where you guys can come and really connect with people about that kind of stuff. Or if you're just like, hi, I had a sad week and I need a hug, like we can do that too.
Yeah, I think that's pretty idealistic. I think that's nice in theory, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that practically? How do I make that the reality?
So I think the first thing is like just wake up and show up. That's huge. I'm not gonna call TJ out, but I am. TJ came to a Creative Mornings one time in an Uber because his night before was so much fun, but he showed up. So thank you, TJ, for showing up. I love you. But yeah, showing up is the first step, right? Like whether you want to or not, or whether things get hectic or not, just showing up is like the first step. And then I think the second step is being open to what's happening here, even though it's happening kind of like behind like a curtain. Like it's just kind of happening, right? Like we're not doing anything crazy. There's no secret sauce. We're just showing up and we're being open. And if you have like the time or the want to connect with other people, or if you want to, someone says, oh, I'm struggling with this, and you're like, oh, I know how to do that. Let me help you figure out how to do that. You know what I mean? Or like Kaylee and Lee are photographers and they just met each other right now. And hopefully they do something cool together. If not, whatever.
Missed opportunity.
So I think those are the first two like practical steps, right? Like it's super simple. And just to give you guys like a personal kind of touch into mine. So my first experience with Creative Mornings was that crazy energy in San Diego. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, I went to an event in Austin, and my best friend is here, and she was with me. But I went to an event in Austin, a Creative Mornings event, and I had the total opposite experience that I had in San Diego. And it was really harsh because my brother had just passed out of nowhere. And so my best friend and I were there, and my little sister was there, and my family was there, right? And so we drove to Austin and all that. But afterwards, so I go to this event, and the topic, I'm shitting you not, was death. And I was like, why am I here? What am I doing to myself? So I go, and I don't know anybody, and I'm kind of just there to keep myself distracted, right? And to not let anything like what I'm really feeling out. And then the speaker starts talking, and I lose it. I just totally lose it. And this person next to me still is my friend to this day. His name is Ben. Just looked over to me, because he was crying too, and I was like, what is going on? Why is everybody crying in Texas right now? I don't get it. So we were both like bawling, and then he just like gives me a hug. And then I've never met this person before, and he starts telling me about his wife that just passed away. And so I'm like, this is too much for me. So two polar different experiences at Creative Mornings, but the fact that like I just showed up regardless of how I was feeling and regardless of what was going on. I'm not telling you that's right to do for you guys in your spaces, right? But I think practicality, you need to show up, and then you need to be okay not being okay. Because, you know, we always see this stuff on Instagram and Facebook like, oh yeah, be the best you all the time. Like, it's bullshit. It's not real. Like, you're going to feel real things. You're gonna have good days and bad days and hard days, and no matter what those days are, if you just show up and you're open and vulnerable about it, I think this is a space that can really help you grow in that.
Like yeah, I mean, if Van is an example, she's going on, and like you said, your roots are so deep and strong that you're able to flourish. That's really awesome.
Thanks, guys. You guys are helping me with that.
So that concludes our talk. Thank you so much to our panel here. We'll be out talking to you now.
Q&A.
Stick around. Oh, you want to do Q&A?
Yeah.
Nobody has any questions, right?